It's lightning talks, 5-minute talks on a topic of the presenter's choice. We are strictly timing. My favorite prop for these events, the second lectern, we don't have one of those today, which means we are running on the Jeopardy system. Timer starts the moment you connect your HDMI cable. So if you haven't tested your computer, whoops. Jonas gets a bonus here. That was not intentional. Okay, so running order is for the next few talks, Jonas followed by David, followed by Grant. So here's how we do things. Tom has a timer here. It goes to 5 minutes. You won't be able to see the timer. When the timer starts getting like to about 10 seconds left, Tom is going to do finger applause. Real applause that the presenter can hear. The presenter can hear, but doesn't drown him out. And then we start to go to regular hand applause. And then we get very loud and cheer, very, very uproariously for Jonas. Please make him welcome.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm very sorry, but I have some terrible bad news for all of you. It's the lost Kiwi PyCon 12. Just so devastating and such bad news this morning. It's bad. But I also have some good news. Before we get to the good news, some aimless self-promotion. Hi, I'm Jonas. I work at Henge. The chi in Henge pronounced like the chi in GIF, so it's very easy to remember. But that's not what I'm talking about here today. Importantly, for what I'm talking about here today is that I'm also a member of the board of the PyCon JP Association, a Japanese nonprofit that is there to support the local and regional community and promote Python in the region. And also, if for whatever reason you want to reach out to me on socials, this is my Mastodon. Anyway, back to the good news. There's lots of other PyCons than just Kiwi PyCon. And just picking one complete random, for example, later this year, October 26-9 in Tokyo, PyCon APAC 2023. Tickets are finally on sale, so please go buy them. And for more information, go to pycon.jp. It's in Japan, but it's bilingual, and this year we have over 60% content in English, and I'll make sure that all the opening, closing stuff is also available in English. But wait, there's even more PyCons actually happening. So this is a selection of some of the PyCons happening in the APAC Asia region coming up for the rest of the year and early next year. So we have PyCon India in very soon. So if you want to go there, rush. If you're into Django, October 7th in Tokyo, APAC. Hong Kong, November 10 to 11. Indonesia, November 18, 19. Thailand, December 15, 16. And then PyCon Philippines, probably February 2024. And yeah, so that's basically all I had to say. Thank you very much for giving me the time to speak here. And I will see you in Tokyo, Bangkok, Hong Kong, Bangalore, wherever. And since I think I have a little bit of time left, I want to use my time to just thank all the volunteer, all the staff, all the people who made this PyCon happen. As somebody who organizes PyCons way too much, I know I have some idea of how much work this was, so just thank you everybody who worked to make this happen.
No, Grant. Listen, you're after David here. Wait, don't play. Okay, so that's Q Jonas for giving people alternatives to Wellington. If you're afraid of wind, there are plenty of towns you can go to next year for PyCons. David, followed by Grant, followed by Sarah. But first, this is described as David Hood presenting David Hood Live Updates the COVID Info site.
Yep. Through the pandemic, I was taking official COVID data, adding a level of analysis, putting it out on Twitter, having discussions with public health people, scientists, statisticians, and being read by people with health concerns and things like that. Late last year, it became morally untenable for me to make it so that people had to come to Twitter to get this information. So I set it up as a data-driven website, and I'm now doing the equivalent of a push-to-production live in a limited time limit while holding a microphone in my left hand.
Don't applaud, he's only got 5 minutes.
So I'm going to explain what's going on, but I pushed a button. Series of scripts are going off, harvesting all of the latest New Zealand data, which fortunately came out at 9:15, I checked. It's coming down. It is running all of the analyses, building the graphs and things like that. He said, now, a lot of people are familiar with Jupyter Notebooks, but I find a lot of people think of them as, well, I'm exploring data, I'm making notes. Coming from a person who produces data products, I think of it as, here is I can produce writing, tables, equations, diagrams, and data-driven graphs and tables in the middle of that. And because essentially that makes a local copy of it, and then I would normally review the local copy in case this is and then I would run the terminal command for the push to remote. I'm not reviewing it today. I'm just trusting that the data format's in the right format, but that's the whole reason this is not a fully automated process, is sometimes stuff happens that needs some explanation. And so this is repeating the process, but as a terminal command. So I am using what is effectively you'll think of as the Jupyter Notebook formats, but it's from the perspective of someone that is making finished output documents. And those output documents, he said, finding where my mouse is. Okay, those finished output documents are a system called Quattro. And if you Google using Quattro in Python, and in particular I'm speaking to the teachers in the room, if you want to produce written explanation material with embedded code inside it that you are showing people, or choosing to hide from people with the outputs of that code showing, and have it automatically producing markdown documents for putting on GitHub or full website that are updates, then what you want is Quattro to have a look at. Works with a number of systems. There's a whole bunch of different languages you can embed inside code blocks inside of written documents. So I do a lot of stuff where I am writing reports in Word or similar, and I more or less generate the entire document in a traditional literate programming style inside that. But you can get other outputs. So for instance, where I was talking about the road accidents earlier on, I rendered that just to Markdown and put it on GitHub with an index Markdown page, and it's the GitHub repo. And that neither is really just using it as a free website thing. The actual COVID website, Quattro will give you free web space for just pushing things to, and that's what I use for that. So if you want to actually check the COVID weather in the wastewater, you could Google David Hood, NZ COVID. It'll probably find it. But the thing that I really want to say is the heart of automatic report workflows for me is Quattro plus whatever languages you're working with.
Did it actually update?
But I'll let you know if anything's in that.
Thanks for that, David. Running order is Grant, followed by Sarah, followed by Sam. Grant is going to do a interpretation favorite on web skit. Can you hear me now? Okay, are we the baddies? Warning, this contains strong opinions. It's a reference, of course, to the famous Mitchell and Webb sketch, Hans, Are We the Baddies? And its starting point is the claim that by 2045, Python will become programming. Included in that are Python-compatible variants like Mojo, PyPy, etc. And it is absolutely not the official position of my company, 2 Degrees.
Fight the mic at your mouth.
So what I'm saying is Python will become programming as in, oh, you're a programmer, what are your second or third languages? Why? I see this as the likely result of ongoing consolidation pressure. For example, Windows became the desktop operating system, Linux became the cloud, SQL became structured data, Git became version control, x86 became the main chip, Docker became containerization, and so on. There's a pressure to consolidate, a strong pressure to simplify and consolidate, and it's not inevitable that there is one winner, and it's not inevitable that the winner survives forever. We can all think of exceptions, but there is a strong pressure for practical reasons which translate into powerful economic efficiency reasons. So think about training and recruiting. Just get a Python dev. Real example from a previous job, the only Scala dev leaves, can't maintain mission-critical code. Oh no, safety is Python. Knowing that one Python team can handle anything that comes up, can code review each other's work, can build shared expertise, and can do web, data science, data pipelines, apps, and move within teams. And also it makes one main target for integration. If you only have resources to support one thing, which one will that be? So talking about the relentless, slow squeeze of Python. The end result, I'm predicting, is mainly Python and variants. So PyPy, Mojo, vanilla Python, and maybe a variant of Python that will come out in the 2030s, or multiple perhaps. It's not about being superior in every way. There are lots and lots of great languages with great features, and I've looked at 14 of them in those books there. They're fantastic. Some ideas might live on in specialist Python libraries, but there are many great features that Python, certainly core Python, will never have. They jar against what is already there, and they would only be worth it if other things about Python were completely different. Match case, for example, arguably might be good in Scala, but is it also good in Python? Eventually, just one language to rule them all, I wouldn't bet against it. Now, clarifying this prediction for 2045, it's assumed that Python continues to adapt aggressively over the next 22 years, removing the GIL successfully, other problems engineered out. Now, given how important Python now is, everyone has a stake. Huge resources and deep expertise will be available. For example, Microsoft's recent work improving the performance of core Python. We'll see a lot more of that going ahead. And the emergence of yet more Python-like specialty languages along the lines of Mojo, for example, speed-focused. Maybe we'll be talking about Python-like languages rather than C-like languages. And I'm making the claim that Python will actually dominate general-purpose programming. Topping the Type index isn't the same thing. By what I mean is dominating new programming. So it needs to dominate established production code, which is not the same thing as just new code. Pardon me. So not now, but by 2045, who knows? So Python becomes programming doesn't mean it will be the only language. JavaScript, C, Rust, and so on will probably remain. All the rest, legacy, the long tail, and niche, some of which will be important niches, which those languages are far superior. Being the baddie, some programmers will be very unhappy if Python dominates programming. We'll be the bad guy. But if I'm right that one language will dominate, we could do much worse than Python. Avoiding becoming the baddie, we need to accept that some jobs are best handled by specialist languages, and we need to maintain a strong culture of software engineering. Python has an easy on-ramp, so bad practices may take hold unless we're vigilant. PHP had major problems in this area. So we need to maintain elegance and simplicity. There are some threats. We need to avoid the kitchen sink problems suffered by C++. We do have a good history of protecting the beauty of Python, but we can't be complacent. I'm one of the people behind the Win of Python initiative, which has a mission to define and clean up what we call common Python and to continue extending situational Python. And that's especially important given that Python will be used in more and more situations. And also, finally, to support ongoing deprecation, hard and soft, of craft, bad ideas, etc. This is more important than it seems. There's a lot at stake.
if Python is going to become programming, it is especially important that we get it right.
I always enjoy talks that don't compare Python to cartoon Nazis, so thank you for that, Grant. Running order is Sam followed by Simon, but first we have Sarah Grief, who's going to be talking about inspiring girls to code in schools. Microphone.
About that part. All right, so just a bit about myself. I'm Sarah Grief. I arrived with COVID in 2020 from South Africa, hired as a programming teacher at James Hogarth College, and I haven't had a normal teaching in New Zealand yet. So the goal for the NZQA is to think like a computer, so that's computational thinking and making stuff with a computer, which is designing and developing digital outcomes. So the problem is low female enrollment in programming classes. So where Sally is kind of what I'm dealing with at the moment. So this is my year 9 and 10 enrollment data for DGT. This is just an average over the last 4 years. You can see how boy heavy I am in my classes and low with females. You can see a year 11 DGT classes. We've separated them with media and programming.
Hold your mic further up.
And you can see that DGM takes more of my females than does programming. So you can see the females enrollment by year level. You can see that I have a drastic decrease. So by the time they go from year 10 to my class for programming, you can see that I have very, very little programming, girl programmers. So frustrations and challenges, I need a lot of help. So you can see that the lack of information about coding and early education is that there is no one for tasters. That is the tasters coming into my class. They taste our subject, and already we are very boy heavy. Poor advertisements about creative possibilities of DGT or programming. There is the fear of the unknown. And then this is my best, is the butchering of the foundations of primary teachers for coding. So I don't know why it does that. So the two-stage learning programmers is that we've got our Wonder Woman, oh yay, and then we have them crying by the time they get to coding. So generating enthusiasm, I thought it would be cool that I'm the female teacher. I'll get many programmers. That wasn't really the case. Website development was something that really got them interested in year 10, but I still lost them. So, simple projects sparked interest, and blowing things up in Minecraft using my Python seemed to be the best, and giving yourself superpowers with Python by making a flower trail as you walk started getting them interested. Also, we are adding colors emojis to our 2 programs. Was funny enough they enjoyed, and graphics using libraries like Tinctor, Turtle, and Pygames. So, simple steps with simple explanations. I had to create a lot of resources for this. So my main goal is the intrinsic motivation. Let them be happy, not with the carrots, not with the money, not with any of that. So one of my students said to me, if I knew we were going to build robots that actually dance, I would be taking programming a long time ago. So conclusion is to give support and training to the junior school teachers, more hands-on demonstrations, which was lost with COVID interruptions, and more robotics and learning. We also have to have more computational thinking. So I like my code is if girl, then thank you.
So, thank you. Hey, going to take a moment to explain how to use a microphone to people. Unfortunately, really not obvious, and unfortunately, there is a giant antenna in the middle of the stage, which means holding the antenna on the actual thing and in front of this giant metal thing, it will make your mic drop out. Hold it up high in the middle. That will make it not drop out more likely because you got better line of sight to the receiving point. So hold in the middle, don't press the power button. Hey, running order. Simon, followed by Christina, first Sam.
And he's plugged in. And swap them, which is a great start to this.
All right, there's my contact info. Yep. All right. There we go. So that's the contact info, and I'm talking about loss and grief. So it's interesting that this conference started with a keynote featuring the Cassini image, because it turns out that that was actually the 6th anniversary of Cassini's Mission End. And that definitely brought back some memories for me, because I actually watched that live, because not only was it relevant personally, it was also an Australian event, because the final telemetry from Cassini actually came down through the DSN in Canberra. And as I watched the loss of signal, like the heartbeat flickering out, it was interesting because I knew what was going on at the other end. And as that signal faded, Cassini was burning up. So I definitely shed a tear for this 6 years ago. And it turned out that that wasn't the only time this is happening, because I and many other people definitely had some emotional connections to the little Spirit rover. And so much so that someone at CERN actually felt compelled to make a little happy ending for this little rover because they couldn't handle it. And that's just the start, because then there was opportunity. 15 years of a 90-day mission. And that little line, "My battery is low and it's getting dark," seems to have hit a real chord with everyone. And so just a few years later, we've wound up with a complete documentary movie for the poor little rover. And it's quite interesting, because this isn't a recent effect. This is actually something that we've known about since the mid-90s. It's called the Tamagotchi effect. Because it turned out that everyone was sort of surprised when everyone got emotionally attached to this tiny little toy. But it turns out that that's all it takes. We just need something that can go on the journey with us. And with that, what's going wrong with that? I'm still seeing it on my end. I've unplugged and replugged. I can't fix that. There we go. All right. So the Tamagotchi effect. And it's interesting because when people have developed more recent products, we've gone a lot further than a Tamagotchi. We've got companies out there like Replica AI, which some of you may have heard did something very silly earlier this year, but they kind of had to. There was legal issues in this case, but what was interesting is that they decided to change the personality of an AI that they had been selling. They were selling a companion and then decided to change its personality arbitrarily without warning and remove an entire facet of this personality. And that was its ability to have an intimate conversation. And it turns out that the customers didn't go very well when that change happened. And it was, while arguably a fake person, it was real loss. And those people had real grief, to the point where the moderators of the subreddit that was sort of the community felt compelled to provide some guidance and help for the community to avoid anyone potentially unaliving themselves. Now, that's quite shocking when you realize that that was a software update. A developer hit push, and someone may have unalived themselves. And we need to be more concerned about this, because as we develop sophisticated large language models, it's getting easier than ever to make software that people will bond with. And with that in mind, we need to start thinking about the downstream consequences of our impact here, because whether it's the person producing the upstream model itself or the person deploying it, it's entirely possible that the changes we make can have significant emotional consequences for one or more people, and we won't know about it potentially ever if we aren't thinking about it. It's like accessibility, and it's not going to get any less common. My MacBook can now run significant models, and just to prove a point as to how easily we can fall into this kind of emotional connection, I'm going to use the last 60 seconds to play this IKEA ad from 2002.
Can you mute the sound?
Oh, no,
Are we allowed to stream this?
it is on YouTube, and it is an IKEA ad they published.
We're not allowed to republish it.
It's going to lose some impact now, but and it's had its effect.
That is time.
Okay.
Yeah, so that Sam do not want Kiwi PyCon to get a YouTube strike, but thank. Sam's taken the microphone off us, which is good. Where's our next presenter? Where's Simon? Great, Simon's got the microphone, which means we can start the timer.
Hello.
Simon's one of the people who did a test before the event.
I did test. Okay. We're just going to do it this way because I don't have much time. So 2 years ago, I stepped into the world of PCI DSS, which is payment card industry data security standard. It governs all of our security for handling your credit cards for purchases. And it is one of many data security standards. And a common complaint working under these data security standards is that we can't adopt DevOps practices because these standards are too cumbersome. And I'm here to tell you that you can, and we do. I can't actually tell you that much about my employer because I didn't check with them, but I'll come back later and I've got some interesting stats for you. Security is not just for banks, and military security is for everyone. We all have PII, everyone has secret source, and everyone needs a secure development lifecycle. Or to channel Danny from Friday, you are not that special. So that myth is busted. How does DevOps fit into this? So the DevOps Handbook is a really good read. I recommend it. DevOps is a set of ideals and principles which drive technical practices to achieve software performance, stability, and security. Yes, security is there. That is baked into the plan. The Phoenix Project is another good read, and it will introduce us to the ideas of DevOps through the 3 ways of flow, feedback, and continual learning. That was supposed to be skipped. Those principles allow tech giants to achieve ungodly software delivery performance when taken to the logical extreme. But largely they managed to achieve that by aggressively eliminating handoffs. But this is where we start to run into problems with the security compliance frameworks. And those two things are largely requirements for segregation of duties and requirements for external review and approval. These really slow things down. But you're not Amazon. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And you can go a long way towards software delivery performance, even under the conditions of PCI. Before we proceed, I need to give you another disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. Please talk to your qualified security assessor. They are your friends, and they will help you through this journey. So let's look at segregation of duties. Of this, Accelerate, another good book, suggests that there are 2 mechanisms that can effectively be used to satisfy both the letter and spirit of this control. Firstly, review should be conducted by a peer who is not involved in authoring the change, and approve should be recorded in a system of record. And that could be as simple as approving a pull request or approving a manual stage in a CI/CD pipeline. Technical controls there will help you. The second mechanism is that those changes, once approved, should only be applied to production through a completely automated system. In this way, we're basically using CI/CD as the change deployer, and we can free up a lot of dev time. So by doing it this way, we get a full record of everything important to the auditor, the who, what, when, where, how, and why of how a change made it from test into production. The next big stumbling block is external review and approval. So having to go out to a change approval board or a manager to get your change reviewed. This can take days or weeks sometimes. And it's really bad. Industry research finds that approval by an external body, such as a manager or CAB, simply does not work to increase the stability of production systems. External approvals were negatively correlated with lead time and deployment frequency. So why do we do it? Theatre.
Yay! Yay! No! I
It was supposed to be a full-length talk.
I was so excited to hear the conclusion to that, but you've only got 5 minutes. Running order, so we have Steve followed by Kelsey, but Christina is up next and is walking away from the lectern. I just tell you when to press the button. Just press the button. Press the button. I'm making the rules. I'm making the rules right now. I'm arbitrary, Tom.
Now I'm waiting for my HDMI cable to be plugged in. So you might have seen the Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Christina Höppner, taku ingoa. We are Kiwi PyCon is the tagline of this conference. And I'd like to add something in that is beyond zeros and ones. Because while the conference is, of course, wildly about the developer community, and you're all meeting here because you want to share the projects that you have worked on over the past year, things that you have learned, the libraries that you've used, maybe also code that you have written yourself, it's a lot of fun. But some of us are not necessarily developers. Though still, I have been enjoying all presentations. I'm not even doing Python, except using Sphinx for the Mahara manual. But beyond that, there's a lot more to this conference. And teams have come together, and they are not just developers. Because we've also had some talks that go beyond development. We have had data analysis. We've heard people can help each other in a company to make it more inclusive, to make it more diverse, to make sure that also everybody who is working on a project or on a product has the necessary documentation available, processes to make their work easier. And of course, what we should not forget is our awesome graphic designers. Just take a look around. Look at the banners that are standing up front here. Look at the t-shirts. Some of you might be wearing them. Did you notice them? Did you notice the stickers that are around? Oftentimes I find we do not notice those things because they just look pretty awesome. And we only notice bad design. Have you noticed Constantine? I think by now at least the big one, not just the small one. And this, at least the Kiwi PyCon graphic design is thanks to the person in the middle, Matt Allen, who has been doing a wonderful job designing the branding for the conference and making sure that everything gels. If you've been at the conference last year, you know that it looked different from this year. This year he's incorporated colors from the local area here and making sure that everything looks wonderful. And of course we also have the content team with Constantine aplenty. And they are not just the developers here. I've talked to somebody who's working in retail and sales and marketing. So these people are incredibly important to all the products that we are working on, because without them, nobody would actually know about the products. Nobody would be using them. And also nobody would probably like them because they might not look as good as they can. And so everybody is enjoying, of course, all the merchandise, taking them back home for themselves or maybe loved ones. And that is a lot of fun because that gives us fond memories. We also have volunteers here at the conference who make sure that everything runs smoothly. And of course, we also have our wonderful venue and venue staff who make sure that we are fed throughout the conference. All of that contributes to a happy community. It is not just the developers. And so I'd like to go back to the talk, to the keynote by Lauren yesterday, and remind everybody to give thanks to everybody who's on the project. Look around here in the room, look at your colleagues, but also think about the colleagues that haven't been here at the conference, who are part of your team, who might not be working directly with Python, but who might be doing something different, but being really part of the team and making sure that what you are working on actually goes out into the world. So I'd like to give you the 2 mini challenges again that we've had yesterday. First one is, what is one thing you're grateful to another person for today? Get specific. Think about that. And then send out a thank you. Yes, right now, before the next person plugs in their computer. Kia ora.
I'd like to thank Christina for. Okay.
But
I would like to thank Christina for taking all those wonderful photos that you saw on the screen just now, that you'll be able to line after the conference, so that you'll have a record of what's happened at the conference after the conference. As far as the running order goes, we've got Kel followed by Kasara. Now, when I get people writing talk, get them to write the title of the talk as well as a short description of things that they're going to be talking about. And this talk had five words in it that made it an instant accept. Electric ukulele-driven wavetable synthesis.
Hi, my name is Steve Baker. It's really hard to... Okay. Just want to go back to the start of my talk. I have a special interest in electric guitars making sounds that don't sound like electric guitars. And my current interest is in wavetable synthesis. It was invented by a guy called Wolfgang Palm in the late 70s. He invented this thing called the 360 wave computer, which was notable for being the first synthesizer that had a significant digital component. Specifically, the synth noise itself is by cycling through a table of values. The speed with which you cycle through the table to the pitch of the tone, and the character of the tone itself is determined by the values in the table. And those that entire table can change throughout the of a note, for example. So here's like a wavetable, which is has some relatively simple harmonic components at the beginning, and as it goes through the table, it becomes more and more complex. And you can modulate between these two extremes. And in synthesis, the standard components of modulation are low frequency oscillators, envelopes, which are triggered by, say, a key press, or just twiddling knobs. But I wanted to do something different. I want to trigger it with an electric instrument where the pitch is detected by the note that you're picking, and the modulation is determined by the amplitude of the signal, which can be controlled by pick strength and also muting as it decays. Fast. It's a functional language for which is specific for musical applications. It has a nice web playground that you can just go in and do things with. Here's a wall of code in a language you probably haven't seen before. The interesting stuff is down the bottom, specifically this oscillator, which is referred to here. This is the implementation of the wavetable itself. This is the logic. These are the values. I didn't type these in myself. I generated these with a Python script by reading a wave file with the SciPy wave file module, which is good. Okay, demo. Shit. Okay. Hopefully this is going to make a noise. Hey. Wow, okay. Oh no. How do I... There we go. All right, here's the actual application. All right. So you can hear as it modulates through the signal. How long have I got? Oh, cool. All right, sweet. If I just pop back to the demo, so here's the end of that signal. It's a relatively harmonically simple, and here's the start, which is a jagged sawtooth, and there's like a resonant filter sweeping over it throughout the table. So it's hard to play with a microphone. So this might sound a little bit better. Oh, thank you. With some distortion. All right. Okay. I've got this great beat. I'll play it until Chris yells at me.
No complaints here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. All right. Thanks very much.
Yeah, that'll do. I've got it here. It's right here. Oh, that mic. Oh, yeah, that's important. Yeah, really important. Our presenters are more important than me. Our next presenters, by the way, Kasara, followed by Warwick. But first, we'll see.
All right. Are we going? All right, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to my talk. This is the title I originally gave it, but the one I came up with while I was putting these slides together was actually How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Code. So the point of my talk here is thinking about how we're actually getting people into software engineering. And why am I talking about this? We all know that it's really important. We've got so much going on. We really need more software engineers, but we know that it's really confusing. There's really a lot to learn, figure out, and there's just too much going on for a lot of new people, and they get scared off by it. As mentioned before, particularly young women have a lot of issues. And I spend a lot of time thinking about and trying to encourage more people into the profession, particularly those from more diverse communities. Also, my children think that it's really cool that I program things, and they want to learn to get into it as well. So I find myself thinking, how can I actually bring them into this? How can I make it interesting for them? And so they actually enjoy it. A lot of people, this is what it's going to be like the first time they really try and get started. And me and my journey, this is something I wanted to talk about. So I'm a senior software engineer now. I've been doing it for a few years. I actually tried to learn to program several times as a teenager, and this was my experience. Everyone just said, hey, throw yourself in the deep end. Just tackle this really big project. It's going to be fine. And every single time I just bounced off. I could not get my head around it. I could not figure it out. But what really actually worked for me was when I was looking for a new career to move into, and I went and took a short course at ARA, they actually looked at what are the building blocks? What are the components we're using when we're writing programs? And how are we actually thinking about putting those together? What are the logical steps? How are we actually thinking, I need to make a choice. I need to do this multiple times, rather than just going, make a website. Make a calculator. It'll be fine. So that was the thing that really made the difference for me, was going back to those building blocks and actually having fun with it. And as mentioned before in one of the other talks about teaching young girls and bringing them in, I think it's really important to make sure we're doing something fun and entertaining and actually enjoying it. And there's actually a lot of really useful tools out there these days for really bringing people in. I found Scratch really quite useful. It actually helped me get my head around things without worrying about the syntax. My kid's done some wonderful stuff in it so far. But also, while I was at the Innovation Expo in Christchurch a weekend or two ago with my children, there was some really cool stuff going on there that was just like little robots. You've got cards, you're just scanning them, and it's really looking at how we're bringing those building blocks, the fundamentals and the basics actually to people so they can get their head around that before they're diving into the really complicated world of big programs, compilers, deployments, CI/CD. Like, all of that is just way too overwhelming for everybody when they get started. I think we really need to make sure we're being helpful to people, bringing them along on the journey with us, and actually encouraging them, telling them how they're doing well, and actually making sure we're guiding them through all of those steps and teaching them the basics. So that was about all I really had to say. Thank you for listening. I'm not on the social medias.
Thanks, Kelsey. Okay, running order, Warwick followed by Chelsea. But first we have Kasara.
Kia ora, my name is Kesara, and today I'm going to talk about PyPy supply chain attacks.
Hold it up.
PyPy stands for Python Package Index, and this is where Python developers, package maintainers upload their packages. Tools like pip uses PyPy to download the package from the PyPy web service. In the last year, there was a major phishing attack on Python package maintainers. In some instances, they managed to get access to their PyPy accounts. And the situation last year up until early this year was package maintainers can sign their packages and upload the cryptographic signature to PyPy, but that's all optional. And these signatures that they use, not all PGP signatures are same. Some are weak, some are expired, some are broken. And there was no easy way to verify signed packages because PyPy web interface didn't have any indication. Tools like pip didn't have anything to verify the signature. If you want to verify a signature, you have to construct a certain URL, download it, and run GPG to verify the package. On the web service, on PyPy accounts, multi-factor authentication was optional. And even for people who had two-factor authentication enabled, they can create these access tokens to upload the packages, and these access tokens becomes the de facto password, because if someone gets hold of the access token, they can just use the access token to upload packages. PyPy did some changes after these security incidents. First one is to enforce the two-factor authentication for uploading packages, and for new accounts, you must have two-factor authentication enabled. PyPy also removed PGP key uploading, in my opinion, which is a little bit undesirable, because this stopped from people who wants to verify the packages from doing so. PyPy also introduced trusted publishers. This is a GitHub action. This GitHub action use OIDC to generate a short-lived token. So this short-lived token is now used to upload the packages. So the state of things right now is maintainers can use trusted publishing, and there's a way to harden it by restricting that to a certain GitHub action, but all these are optional. And still there's no easy way to verify, but even to know whether the package has used trusted publishing or not, because there's no indication on the PyPy web interface or on tools like pip. Multi-factor authentication is required for all the maintainers, but still you can generate these long-lived access tokens that can be used to upload packages. In this year particularly, I think PyPy has done a lot of things to address the security concerns, and from the things I read, there's a lot more to come. So hopefully things will be better. That's all I got on this topic. Because I have time, I want to shout out to the PIPEX. It's neat and easy way to run Python tools on your machine.
Move.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Kassar. Hey. So we've got Chelsea and Hugh, but first we've got Warwick Walter, who also has some hardware. Incredible. It's glowing. Kick his time off, he's already started.
Hello, my name is Warwick. I'm from Invercargill, and this is my talk, Python meet transistor. Take this code, adding 12 to 14. How might that actually happen? Of course, in binary. I think most of us probably know that, but let's do this. So here we've got two 4-bit binary numbers, and to add these up, we'll start at the rightmost column, which is the least significant bit. 0 plus 0 is correct, 0. And moving on, 0 plus 1 is, of course, 1. 1 plus 1 is
0.
Well, it is 1, 0, or 2. So we've put the 1 up to the top, we've carried that, that's our carry bit, and of course the sum is 0. Next one, what is 1 plus 1 plus 1?
1.
Well, the correct answer depends on what base you're talking. If you're talking decimal, it's 3. If you're talking binary, it is 1, 1. And so we've put the 1 at the leftmost column, and then the sum is, of course, 1. There's a truth table for this. This is called a 1-bit adder. So we've got A and B, which are the bits we're adding, and then the sum and the carry. So 0 plus 0, sum is 0, carry is 0. Now, if you look at this, you can start to notice some patterns. Take the two lines in the middle, where we're adding 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. The sum is always 1, and the carry is 0. So you could say if A or B, then the sum is 1. So that's a logical OR. However, on that last line, if they're both 1, then it's a 0. So that's a logical XOR. And the carry bit is a bit more straightforward. If A and B, you carry. This is what's known as a half adder. So these are logical gates. The top gate there is an XOR gate. So you've got your A and B going into that. The result of that is the sum. Down the bottom, that is the AND gate. If A and B, that is your carry bit. That's only half the story though, because sometimes we're actually adding 3 numbers, not just A and B. And so we can essentially sum to 3. The previous one is just a half adder. But we can combine 2 half adders, we can chain them together, and with one more logical gate, we get a full adder, which essentially has 3 inputs, an A and a B, and a carry input. You can chain the 2 carry outputs from the 2 half adders, put that into an OR gate, and that gives you your carry bits out. And you can take that a step further. You can combine them further. And this is a 4-bit adder, simply chained. In a CPU, this is implemented in the ALU, or Arithmetic Logic Unit. So this is where I decided to make one. And this is where the live demo comes from. I have implemented with transistors, discrete transistors, a 1-bit full adder. So you can see these lights going. Those are all the logical gates there. There's a whole bunch of AND gates, some OR gates, and a NOT gate, because you can implement XOR gates with a combination of AND gates and NOT gates. Here you can see it's adding them up bit by bit, starting with the least significant bit on the right, and that's going through the transistors, and the result is being calculated. And then, of course, in Python, we're making sure it's correct, because sometimes if you bump it, it goes wrong. It's a cheap breadboard after all. I'm sitting over there after the talk. Come say hi, have a look at it. We can try adding some 32-bit numbers. They're a little bit more fragile, and if you ask nicely,
I'll let you pull a transistor out and see if you can break the math. This is my talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Warwick, for demonstrating what is surely the future of computing. Coming up, we've got Hugh and Vicky. The next presentation had on the submission card this description: learn a sea shanty, please reject. Please welcome Chelsea. Microphone.
Hello. Hi. I'm Chelsea. Yeah, I had a really great idea of submitting a lightning talk of doing a sea shanty. And for some, I didn't really want to do it, but hey, I could have just not submitted it. So yeah, gonna teach you all the sea shanty. I like to do sea shanties in my spare time sometimes. And this one is also public domain, so don't worry about the copyright stuff.
Yeah, I trust you.
So the structure of this sea shanty, we're going to be singing Leave Her Johnny. This is going to be an audience participation one. Fun, yeah. I'm going to sing a thing, then you're all going to sing Leave Her Johnny, leave her. And then I'm going to sing another thing, and it's time for us to leave her. So get that in your head. We're just going to go through it. We're just doing it live. And then there's the chorus to this song. So pretty much after every verse, we go the chorus. So this goes, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow. And it's time for us to leave her. So yeah, pretty much we're just going to go now. Good luck, everybody. I'm going to be great. I hope you all are as well. I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow we'll get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by road for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. That's it.
Yeah, we as programmers like calls and responses, and so that was some calls and responses. Thanks, Chelsea. Coming up, we have Vicky and Joelle, but first, Hugh. It's plugged in already. Too late. One of the most valuable lessons you can learn from this is that when the acceptance email says you can test your computer before a session, that's normally advice. Do you want to hold your laptop at the audience and present?
Yay!
Perfect. Hello. I am doing it. First of all, my name's Hugh. I work at Sharesies. This has nothing to do with Sharesies. So I work on a hobby operating system. I started this last year. Gosh, I've already lost a minute. Started this last year. Haven't done much on it this year due to reasons. But yeah, I thought I'd show it. So here is what it looks like. It's very green, as you can tell. I've got a wee thing called Python running inside of it. Talk more about that in a little bit. The talk kind of mentioned that I was doing debugging with Python. So I worked out quite early on that I need to be able to debug. So I use GDB and do that. Be wondering why I'm using GDB. It is because I actually do this all in assembly. So I've got 12,000 lines of x86 assembly code. I don't know why I did this, but hey, it's what I did. I also found that booting up into QEMU every time to make a change was quite slow, so I kind of made a platform script so I can run it within my Linux terminal. And you can see that, well, if I type correctly, I can also, it's all good, and it's fine. I can also do this, and yeah, there's some bugs. I can't do that. Backspace doesn't work in the platform script, so I can still run it there. But yeah, so with this, I also wanted to do debugging in the platform script. There were some issues with the symbols. Like here, you see it says start. That's the function name. But if I go break like Python main, say, and continue, and then go Python and this and do that same thing, though. Should have done something. Python minus m this. Python.
I offered you a second hand.
You have. I am aware. Boom. Not sure why it's not breaking at the breakpoint. That's not the same breakpoint. Anyway, so I decided. You can also just like pipe it to it and it does that. Do I have a window for that? No, I don't. This one will do. I also started doing a platform script for this, but it's not actually implemented. You might be thinking, have I actually implemented Python in assembly? The answer is no. I have implemented this module that prints out the XenopPython and some other things, but it is in assembly, which is kind of cool. I got told by Tom yesterday that it's a stupid idea, but I agree. But yeah, if you are interested in this crazy project, I do have some videos of me developing this, and it's on GitLab. But yeah, thanks for your time. Thank you.
It's extensive demo to show us a Python that doesn't work. And brave to mention your employer at the start of the talk as well. Joelle followed by Daisy are coming up, but first Vicky McKay. Ha.
Oh no. That's a quality everything everywhere all at once screensaver that you too can acquire from places that you may like. Oh no, this is why they tell you to prepare beforehand, and this is why you should do it.
This talk is titled "What Don't Have a Plan."
Okay, congratulations everyone. This is what to do when you don't have a plan. Into the microphone. Okay, sweet. Basically, this is my my talk for all of you guys, because basically this year I've done a whole bunch of the thing that we used to call soft skills and that we now call core skills, because I spend my day-to-day life as a Python developer, but I also do a lot of clubs and groups and various things where your programming skills are useful, but the most useful thing about you. So this was my reaction to going into a couple of meetings this year. Oh no. Why are we here? No, seriously. Why are we here? Why are we here right now? This was too late in the plan to correct. Step 4 is identify that you're in trouble. Here's how I thought this learning experience would go. Step 1, decide you can do a thing. Decide you can participate in a club or an event. Decide that you want to stand up. Decide that you want to do, that you want to get involved, that you want to participate. Oh no. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. Yes, of course. And express gratitude to everyone who believes in you and supports you to get there, because they're amazing, and without them, I would not be standing on this stage. So thank you. Step 2, be prepared to follow instructions. Attend meeting, listen to what people say, osmose the experience that you're going to have. Step 3, listen and learn, experience the culture, don't step on anyone's toes. Step 4, follow the most passionate person in the room. Don't have ideas, follow their ideas. Their ideas will be good. So what did I learn? Step 1 was pretty good. Appreciation rocks. Keep doing it. But the next step of the plan should be what happens when there is no smart person to follow, when there is no one else in the room who is organizing, when you have come to a meeting and everyone else is looking at you with blank faces going, why are we here? So what I have learned is the importance of planning in advance. I have learned the importance of writing together a sheet of writing a bulleted list of everything that I want to accomplish in a meeting, of having an agenda, of doing all of that basic stuff. It's really great, and I really encourage it. And then the point of that plan should be that you take it to this meeting and you let everyone else tear it to shreds. You have your beautifully orchestrated design of how you thought this event was going to go, and then you let the smart, brilliant, beautiful people in the room say, here's why this won't work. Step 1.5, meetings and calendars and emails and private messages and group chats and the rest. You will do a lot of communication if you stand up to do a thing. You will learn how to talk to people. It will be great. You will struggle if you have social anxiety, like I do, but you will get there in the end. Step 90, collaborate. These are the people who you will be working with for a long time, and they are good at what they do. Step 99 plus, something is better than nothing. Some exclusions may apply. You always bring something to the table when you're participating in a group, whether it's compassion, appreciation for others, organization, or the innovation, that the great ideas that you have. So now this is revealed to be an excuse for me to show you pictures of my cat. So these are the people I have appreciated in the last year. The person who brings calm, the person who pays attention to everyone, the person who always says yes, the person who offers structure, cat in a box, the person who offers support before you start to slip. All of these people are fun to talk to, and they're all wonderful, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Vicky. Joelle is up.
Her name is Biddy. Thank you for asking.
And thanks so much for the randomly provided laptop charger half talk. That's what you do when you don't have a plan. Yeah, so now we've got Joelle. Easy, but Joelle.
So I'm going to talk about how networks surprise developers, and can be subtitled, "The Internet is not broke, it's just weird." I work for Netflix, and I do want to point out that New Zealand is on our map. One of the things that a lot of people think is higher, if you have slow application over the network, get higher bandwidth. That will fix your application. And sometimes it will, but sometimes it won't. So an example is between this hotel and Auckland is roughly milliseconds round trip time if you ping something in Auckland. That's determined by the speed of the light versus over the distance of the fiber. That means you can do roughly 33 round trips per second. If you're doing a single-threaded application, you make a request, get a response, you can do 33 of those in a second. Well, not quite, because initiating a new connection takes 2 round trips. One to set up the connection, one to actually make the request. So now we're down to 16 round trips per second. Well, even worse, because you want to do TLS, so that's another round trip, and another round trip. So now we're down to 8 round trips per second. But of course, you might not be hosting something in an Auckland data center. You might have it in AWS in Sydney. So that's roughly 4 round trips per second now. So you can do 4 transactions per second, let's say, with a very simple application. Well, there's obviously solutions, things like persistent connections, so you're not doing that connection setup every single transaction. Multi-threading, which gives you n times the speed, but your application has to support that. Caching and replicas, database near the user. If your users all happen to be in one spot where you're doing just read-only, those are good solutions. But as you can see, it gets complicated. But it's more complicated than that because networks also, people think they're going to use the best path. This is a map of where c.rootservers.net is located. That's one of the root DNS servers. As you can see, there's one in Singapore. There is not one in New Zealand. So you would think from here to get to c.rootservers.net, you'd go to Singapore. And well, you do go through Singapore if you trace route it, but you don't stop in Singapore. You go to Paris. And there's a reason for that. I gave a whole talk on why that kind of thing happens. But yeah, sometimes the network does not do what we expect it. Another example I'll just leave you with is trace routes or MTRs can lie. If you notice these ones circled in red, that last column is the round trip time. This is from Denver data center to c.root servers, which is being served out of ORD1 in Cogent. That's Chicago 1. Why are those times basically the same? Especially since MCI is Kansas City, ORD is Chicago. MCI is about halfway between Chicago and Denver. So what the heck? In fact, there's 650 kilometers between those 2 hops. So why are they roughly the same? Well, I'm not going to tell you that, but you can find me afterwards and I can explain why, but just know trace routes lie. So I just wanted to put some things in people's heads of the network can do some weird things, and talk to your network people. I gave a talk on the example, a similar example to why c.rootservers.net is going through Singapore thing there. Give it the Raku conference in Toronto this year. That presentation's on YouTube. There's the link. Thanks all.
Bye. Oh. Hey, time for our lightning talk. It's Daisy.
Oop.
Press X.
Thank you. How do I...
X.
Thank you.
Last year I presented a lightning talk called Life and Death. It was very serious and very important talk, and a year later is even more serious and important. If you didn't see it then, you should watch the video linked on your screen. It was about the rise of towards people like me and how our existence is political, and it comes with a couple of content. Fortunately, this year I'm presenting a much lighter topic. I am talking about history and politics of Australian and New Zealand supermarkets and their subsequent mergers and acquisitions. This is Australia. This is New Zealand. These slides are old, but it's still true. Also, it was originally presented in Sydney. I'm not slacking up. Both of them have supermarkets. Australia has a supermarket duopoly with some small independents, and New Zealand has a few major brands of its own. How we got here is an adventure. In 1914, Coles was founded in Collingwood, Victoria by Sir George James Coles. And in 1920, Foursquare was founded by John Barker in New Zealand. In 1922, Foodstuffs Auckland was founded by the Masters of Grocers Association to create a cooperative buying group, and they expanded in 1925 with the introduction of Foursquare branding on members' stores, which was something new to the industry at the time. The same year, Wellington sees their success and goes, we'll make another Foodstuffs, which formed independently of Foodstuffs Auckland with its own board of directors, CEO, and everything. In 1924, Woolworths Bazaar was founded in New South Wales. It was named this to avoid issues with the American Woolworths. After discovering that Woolworths America had no intent to expand to Australia, Woolworths Bazaar was renamed to Woolworths Stupendous Bargain Basement, which was followed by rapid expansion in most major states. In 1928, Foodstuffs Christchurch was formed again independent to the other two, and in the 1930s, Frank Limster makes a supermarket and sells it quickly to Woolworths. We'll get back to all soon. In 1940, Woolworths has a store in every state in Australia after opening in Perth, not enough room. And in 1941, Frank Lindstrom is back with Franklin's founded in New South Wales. Bill Pratt starts a market chain in Franks in Victoria in 1946 called Pratt's, and in 1948, Dunedin opens a Foodstuffs cooperative, making the fourth in New Zealand all independent. In WA, Progressive Enterprises is founded. They're not a supermarket, but they will be soon. In 1958, Rolf Voss converts a milk bar to a self-service market, and there's also a store called Dickens Coles buys all 54. Foodtown is created in Auckland in 1958, and in 1959 there's a supermarket in SA called Bilby's. Coles buys all of them as well. Coles also buys all of Matthew Thompson's in New South Wales, and in 1961 Progressive Enterprise becomes parent of Foodtown. Coles is branded in Coles as Coles New World, no relation to the New World here, and in 1963 America is invading. It's Safeway, and they buy all three of Pratt's supermarkets in Victoria. In 1963 New World opens in New Zealand as part of Foodstuffs, and in 1970 Action Supermarkets were founded in Perth. In 1979 Byler was founded in South Australia, and in 1981 Countdown launches in New Zealand as part of Rattray Wholesale. In 1982 Franklin's opens in Victoria, and then Woolworths plays Katamari and gobbles up Rolf Voss and Pretty in Tasmania. In 1983 Franklin's opens in Queensland, and by 1985 Safeway owns 126 locations in Victoria, Queensland and New South Wales, but in New South Wales it's known as Red S due to a trademark issue with Saveway. Pack and Save was founded in New Zealand as an imitation of Safeway, and Woolworths plays Pac-Man and acquires Safeway rebranding in New South Wales and Queensland, but not Victoria, where Safeway became the fresh food people. Coles Australia acquires Progressive Enterprises, which means they now own New Zealand's Foodtown, and Franklin's opens in SA and ACT. In 1990, the most fashionable decade, Coles New World rebrands to Coles Supermarkets, and Coles Myer divests from Progressive Enterprises. PE still own Foodtown and Countdown in New Zealand. Coles Supermarkets rebrands to just Coles, and in the year 2000, Rolf Voss and Purity rebrand to Woolworths, but they forgot to change the tiles in the car park in Hobart. Progressive Enterprises buys Woolworths New Zealand, and then Woolworths Australia acquires Progressive Enterprises and Action Supermarkets in Perth. Coles purchases and rebrands Bilo in South Australia, leading to hilarity, such as Ingle Farm, which has two Coles within 50 meters of each other. If you stand in the middle of the shopping centre, you can see both, and both operate to this day. Legend says that Victoria has its own mythical double Coles as well. Try and find your local one. Progressive Enterprises announces that all of Foodtown and Woolworths will rebrand to Countdown, not Woolworths, which leads to confusion as this happens overnight. And in 2010, all Franklin stores become IGA. The last Foodtown at Browns Bay is rebranded to Countdown in 2011, and in 2013, Foodstuffs Auckland and Wellington merge into Foodstuffs North Island, separate to Foodstuffs South Island, which is a merger between Dunedin and Christchurch. I'm getting there. In 2013, Woolworths starts and nearly completes rebranding Safeway to Woolworths in Victoria, except for the final Safeway in Wodonga, which is finally rebranded to Woolworths in 2017. And this year, Woolworths Group are finally rebranding their New Zealand stores again to Woolworths, spending $400 million in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And that is how we got here. 109 years and 17 different businesses, eventually becoming 6-ish. Also, did you know that big animatronic vegetables in New Zealand? It's terrifying. Thank you so much to William for being the stack. Thank you for coming along on this ride with me, and yeah, thank you.
Somehow with extra seconds faster than Will.
I talk fast.
That's it. Please thank our presenters.